What's up, guys and gals? It's Roy from Roy's Customs. What we have here today is a 2000 Chevy Malibu with the 3100 engine, and I'm going to be doing the head gaskets on this vehicle, so I'll have a little bit of instructions with it, and along the way a few pointers, tips, and whatnot. So anyways, it doesn't take that long to do a head gasket, but we did end up getting the entire upper end kit, and that's the best way to do it. And I went ahead and changed the throttle body gasket, I changed the intake plenum gaskets, I changed the lower intake gaskets, the head gaskets, changed the valve cover gaskets, pretty much everything from the head gaskets up. Release the pressure of the whatever fuel is in there, and once you release the pressure you can put the cap back on, and then you release your fuel lines. Taking this off or putting it on, or either way, you have to remember that there are these little green clips that have to pull up. You don't have to take them all the way out, but they pull up. And then there's an actual little lever in there for you to push to release the clip. It's okay. Once you get all the wiring and stuff out of the way, once you get down to your rockers on this 3100, first you take your, you can actually take the rockers off first, or you can take the push rods out first, and then what you want to do is take an old box or something, put some holes in it, and then take your push rods, you know, just from the back, because being this is a front wheel drive, I say being it's sideways, this is the back, this is the front to me from where I'm standing from the front of the car. So I take all the front push rods out and I put them in order from where I pulled them out of, and then the back ones, I pull those out. I keep them in order, and then it's kind of the same basic idea with the rockers. Actually, I pull them out one at a time and I lay them out where I got them from, and this would be the front of the engine, and that would be the back of the engine as far as I'm concerned. And that actually keeps me in line with what I'm doing, because I do it by the way I'm looking at it. And you get them all set up and laid out. I know this is the front of the engine. From the front of the engine, this would technically be the right side of the engine, and that's the left side, but being I'm looking at it sideways, I consider this as the front of the engine, and this is also the front of the engine, working my way from left to right. So those all go back in exactly where I got them out of. Same way with the push rods. So anyways, since you're at a different angle now, and you can pretty much see what's going on here, the front head will be pretty much the same disassembly and reassembly as each. So, and what you're going to want to do is you will start with number 8 bolt. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so and you want to do it in a spiral to get that taken off there. Now these are actually aluminum heads, so they, you know, that's one of the main reasons why you want to do that. If these were iron heads, you'd still want to take it off the same way. Don't ever do this while the engine is hot. Make sure it's set, make sure that it's cooled off and everything. So we're going to get to that. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to use my breaker bar to break them loose. 1. Okay. Once you got them all broke loose, then you can actually go around with your 1/2-inch ratchet and finish them off. Okay, now that we've got the head bolts done, I'm going to have to take this one off too. That one should be a 13 millimeter. You don't have to pull this out. You can stay where it's at. Just whenever you go to pull the head out, I'll show you. Okay, once you get it all cleaned up and everything, and you got the cylinder head surface cleaned up pretty well, what you want to do is, at least with the Fel Pro gaskets, you want to actually put like the flat side, well, the design side goes up and then the blank side goes down. Once you have your head gasket set back in place, then you can double check your cylinder head and make sure that it is actually still clean. You know, make sure nothing got on it. Go ahead and wipe it back down again. Make sure that the surface, the mounting surface, is actually still clean. That back in, that back on. Okay, now that the cylinder head is back in there, you can go ahead and put your head bolts back in. Now when you tighten these, on the 3100 you'll want to do 37 foot-pounds On this is a 2000, so you want to do 37 foot-pounds and then an extra 90 degrees. So we get the head bolts. Short ones go on the bottom. Duh. So you put your bottom ones in, and then you put your top ones in. And you want to do these in a spiral, obviously from center out. Okay, once you got these into place, make sure your torque wrench is set on 37 foot-pounds and begin. Okay, now that should be good. It's 37 foot-pounds plus another 90 degrees, so that should be done. Alright, and that's how you replace a head gasket. I'll go ahead and I'll do the other one, and then whenever I get back to the intake, the valley pan is what it's actually called, but I'll show you that too. Okay, once you get your head gasket done, your head's back on, your new exhaust gaskets, then you put in your intake plenum, or your intake manifold gaskets back in, and these also have your push rod guides in them. So I'm going to bring those back over the way they came out. Make sure you put them in the right direction. There's actually a little seat that the push rod goes in, and then the other longer flat piece goes on the actual valve. Now, if you find that your rockers are excessively worn, or they're bent, or anything's wrong with them, you need to go ahead and replace them. Same way with the push rods. If you find that they're excessively worn or even bent or anything like that, you need to get them replaced as well. These get torqued at 124 inch-pounds plus another 30 degrees. But first we need to take our black RTV silicone, and we need to do the lower valley portion. So we'll get this cleaned off real good. It is okay if you use like a little extra in these corners of them, because there is a rise here between the gasket and the actual mounting surface. So if you choose to put a little bit of extra in there, don't use too much extra, because then it just squishes everywhere. But if you want to use a little bit extra to fill in that little gap, you can. It's not going to hurt anything. Then you make sure you've cleaned your mounting surface really well. Put it down in here, and then you will have your 4 longer bolts in the center. And these are 10 millimeters as well. And then you have 4 shorter bolts, 2 on this end, One goes down in here. One goes in here on this side. And then one goes down in here. Under there. The two that's underneath is kind of hard to get to, but they can be got. It just takes a little doing. These actually go at 62 inch-pounds first go round, and then 115 inch-pounds for the second go round for step 2. And then these end bolts, they go at 18 inch-pounds. This actually has to go over this end piece, and the rest goes under. Make sure you have good O-rings in before you start pushing them down in there. If you need to, you can actually tap them in with a rubber mallet, which I'm going to do that to make sure that they get seated properly. But first I'm going to tighten the rail down. You have to make sure that this your map sensor wire is sticking out too, because you don't want to lose that. You don't want to get the entire intake on and then realize that something is missing. But I'm going to go around and give it a little tap. The power steering pump has actually 3 bolts that go in behind it. You have these 2 studs here. They actually are mounts for the coil packs bracket, and they go back in here. Anyways, they go back in here. There's 2 spots that they go into. One's here, if you can see that, and then one is actually back here. And you actually have to take these off in order to get this back valve cover off anyways, so those will have to come out anyhow. See, this is actually a 2-piece thing here, and this acts as a spacer for this, so, and this is actually where you can pull your engine. That's actually what that's for. So, anyways, you have, there'll be 2 bolts that go in here. 2 bolts that go in here, and then you'll have a bolt that actually runs down through here to mount back there, but you'll see that. Like little holders. They're like little plastic nubs that go into these little holes to help keep it lined up. You have 6 10mm bolts for your upper intake manifold, and they're supposed to be torqued at 18 pounds. foot-pounds. So once you get this back in here, like I said, make sure you remember your map sensor plug is still protruding, so that you will have that. Well, okay, there's 5, and then there's one that is a 13mm, because it's actually also used for some type of mounting stud. So once you get those started, then you go from the center, work your way out. That means my torque wrench won't go down to 18 pounds. I figure this should be good enough. You don't want to over tighten them because you will break it. Trust me, you will break it. I have actually broke one once, and it sucks because then you have to go out and look for another one, and hopefully you can find one. Feel free to subscribe, hit the notifications, and have a spectacular day or night, whichever one it is for you. Peace out.